Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader. We've got a nice mix today. We've got some loose graded figures. We've got some loose, complete, ungraded stuff. A few vehicles. Some 12-inch figures. Just a really nice mix. As you can tell by this thumbnail, it's kind of all over the place today. We've got a red bar R5D4 ungraded that sold for massive money. That one keeps going up in price. It's crazy how much that one went for. We had a Polish bootleg Imperial Gunner. He looks like an astronaut. A really beautiful CAS graded Meccano Yoda. Kind of everything in between. Lots of really cool stuff to talk about. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow this channel to be what it is today. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up for as little as $1 a month. All right, let's take a look. We've got some UKG items to go through first. We're going to start off with all the loose graded. This is a Spanish PvP Darth Vader with the leather cape, and it's a very desirable variant. This was a UKG 90 gold level, so very much brand spanking new mint. I mean, this was as clean as it gets. Much cleaner than my example. I've got a CAS 85. I bought mine ungraded from Europe, and I think I paid somewhere in the 200-ish range, somewhere in that ballpark. It was ungraded, but it was really nice and clean. It got an 85 from CAS, but you can see that texture to the cape. There's several different cape variations for the Vader. There's one with the leather cape. There's one with a smooth cape. And then there's one where it's smooth on one side and leather on the other. And when I say leather, it's not real leather, okay? This is just like a texture to it that kind of looks like leather. It looks like pleather. You can kind of see it there. But this was a beauty, and it did sell for 280 pounds, which is $351 US. One of my Patreon supporters picked that one up. Congrats on that. It was his Christmas gift to himself. I was good this past year. I didn't buy anything for Christmas for myself. It was all for my family. Here was another one. This was the Eyes Straight Spanish PvP Hammerhead. Usually the eyes are kind of shifted to one side, but Hammerhead was on the spice, and he looks a little zoned out, a little too much blue milk. This was a UKG 85%. Now, there was a UKG 90 for this exact same particular figure that sold at auction, and it sold for like $450 US. So I thought this one at 225 pounds or 283 US was very fair for one slight drop in grade. I mean, it almost got the 90. It was a figure score of 90, paint 85 for an overall 85. So very good deal on that one relative to the 90 that sold at auction for $450. Here is a blank. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the China raised bar Luke X-Wing. Tough to find this particular variant. And this was high grade UKG 85% China raised bar. And it was an 85. I mean, it's tough to get an 85 from any of the grading companies on Luke X-Wing. There's just so many ways to get screwed by the grading companies because the white on the legs, the white on the vest, on the front and back of the vest, it's just super tough to get. And this China COO is not nearly as common as the Hong Kong. Just tough one to track down. And that one did sell for 145 pounds. I thought that was very fair price. I was tempted to buy that one myself. So that one did sell for 145 pounds, 182 bucks. Browns 88 had a number of different loose graded AFA examples that sold. I just pulled up a smattering of them. First was just the standard light brown stitch Jawa AFA 85, that one sold for 200 bucks. He had one where it had green stitches on the hem that sold for big money, but this is just the light brown stitch AFA 85, 200 bucks. He had the small head Han Solo with the molded legs, which is the more common of the two variations. He also had a painted legs AFA 85 that sold for big money a few weeks back. I can't remember the number. It was like $600 or $700. But this was just the standard molded legs. It still sold for almost $200, though. Very clean example on that one. And then here was an AFA 85 plus gray body IG88 that sold for $327 in an auction. Tough to get this one above an 85 as well. It's just just like the Luke X-Wing, there's so many ways to go wrong, usually around the bandolier. The bandolier is black, but because it's got so many sculpting details to it with the little, grenades and things like that, it does get rubs on the black paint super easy on IG-88. So 327 on that AFA 85 Plus. Here was that Meccano Yoda. Now, this was sold by a friend of mine. He didn't ask me to highlight it in my What to Buy video a few weeks back, but I did it anyway because it's absolutely a beauty. And it was labeled by CAS, the Meccano Yoda, black eyes, no COO, brown snake, AFA 80. And this is a Yoda expert that sold this. He matches the accessories perfectly before he sends them in to CAS for grading. And I bought from him myself, absolute beauty. And that one did sell for $400. That was a French Meccano Yoda. Here was an AFA 85 Plus for Ramba that sold in an auction. You can see that last 17 there, AFA label, AFA 85 Plus. That one sold for $269.50. So tough to get those high grades above an 85. A couple of different Falcons sold from Gold Star Tech. First is just a standard used contents, stickers applied with the Star Wars box. It did include the instruction sheet as well as the catalog for $307. But here was the beauty. This was a Kenner Canada version, Return of the Jedi box, and it was unused contents. How cool is that? Unused sticker sheet, unused training ball, and then look, he even included in like a, trading card sliding case, he included the original bill of sale. How cool is that? So it shows the shipping label there along with the original address to the Ontario. I cannot talk. This was originally sold for $23.59 Canadian dollars originally for this. How cool is that? Wow, unbelievable. So it's got the unused training ball there and an unused sticker sheet along with the original box. How amazing is that item? Wow. La Guerre des Étoiles, le navire spatial Faucon millionnaire. Something like that. I can't pronounce it, but what an awesome item. $825 in an auction on that. I don't know if I've ever seen that box before. It's all black. That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting box there. I've never seen that one before off the top of my head. But very, very cool item, though, for $825. Here was an unused Empire Strikes Back X-Wing, unused sticker sheet, unused laser cannon, still factory sealed inside the baggie, along with the insert and the unused X-Wing. So look at that. Very, very cool there. Box was a little tatty, but still, that's a pretty cool item. And that one did sell for $650 in a buy it now situation. Likewise, in a buy it now for $350 was this 100% complete 12-inch Boba Fett. So pretty clean example. Looks like it might have had a little stain there on the cape, but the figure itself was pretty clean. Nice paint apps on that one. A couple of little scratches on the armor there, but very cool to see that one sell for $350. And likewise, here was an IG-88 from the 12-inch line. This was also 100% complete and sold in an auction for $510. That's a pretty good deal there. That's not the lowest price I've seen this past year. This past year, there was one that sold, I think, at $460. But that's pretty close. That's pretty close for the lowest price. Usually they're kind of $650 to $750, maybe even as high as $800 if it's super mint. This one looked pretty clean too. A little bit of dust on it, but I think you clean it up a little bit. I think that was a pretty nice example for $510. All right, this is a hilarious one. All right, now I sent this one out to my Patreons. It was a factory sealed vintage soap collection. So it's still factory sealed. It included, it looks like Princess Leia, Luke X-Wing, Yoda, and Chewbacca, and each of the soap bars were still factory sealed in cellophane. And I said, one of you crazy people needs to buy this and grade it. And one of my Patreon supporters, after the auction ended, Trent R., he reached out and he said, challenge accepted, AFG. Challenge accepted. I'm going to grade this. And I remember having these growing up. I specifically remember the Yoda and the Luke X-Wing. Having those growing up. I was a stinky little fat kid, and I would clean myself with these. So congrats, Trent, and I hope you do grade it. If you do grade it, send me a private message with the final grade on it. I think it gets the 80. I think it's going to get the 80. It was pretty nice example. And I would love to see that graded. It actually would make a nice display piece, in all fairness to him. But some crazy person is going to grade these, and I can't wait to see the final grade on it. So that did sell for $51.50. Next up was a Polish bootleg Imperial Gunner. This is a pretty common color scheme, the silver with the green eye visor. And that one did sell for 500 PLN, whatever that is, Polish something. And that equates to about 175 bucks, 175 US dollars, somewhere in that ballpark. But that was a really nice example. I've got one of these myself, actually, I think, in that same color scheme. And that's from the 1980s. It's unarticulated. They did have articulated examples for the first, second, and third generation Polish bootleg Imperial Gunner with lots of different color schemes, but this is one of the most common for the unarticulated 1980s example. Next up was a baggie. I sent this out to my Patreons. I don't know if one of y'all bought it, but it did sell. It was listed for 500 US dollars. It sold for 450. And this was the early mail-away baggie for Boba Fett. I think this is an SWD baggie, going off the top of my head. But really nice, clean example. Probably grades an 80 or 85. And congrats on that one. Next up was the Droid Factory R2-D2 with the 3 legs. It was listed for $200. I sent this out to my Patreons. I was like, that seems like a pretty good deal to me. It wasn't perfect, but it was in pretty clean shape. Probably a 75 plus or a low 80 would be my guess on that one. It had a little bit of issues here and there, but the sticker was pretty clean. And, again, not perfect, but when are they perfect anyway? I've seen them in much worse condition sell for more than this price. So I thought that was a very fair price for that one. Here was a loose, complete R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber. I think it probably does get the 80 grade. It was advertised as C8+. I think it's about an 80 grade, would be my guess on that one. And that one did sell for $510 in an auction. And then finally, here was that R5-D4 with the red bar. Now, this seller, Gold Star Tech, had another one that I had in the What to Buy video, and I didn't see that the red bar had been colored in. And in all fairness, this seller does not know Star Wars, okay? This seller is known for, like, electronics. And I think he just must have gotten in the mother lode of all collections and just sold everything off. And he didn't advertise the other one as a red bar, in all fairness. And I'm sure that whoever got it sent it back in and asked for a refund. But this one is absolutely a red bar R5-D4. This is a factory correct one and very clean shape as well. This one I think would get an 80 or potentially even an 85. And it sold for $13.25. Big number on that one. Wow, absolute stunner. 36 bids on that. $13.25 for a loose, complete R5-D4. That's over double what I paid for mine. And in all fairness, I got a great deal on mine. It was from a friend of mine named Drew, and he definitely sold it to me for less than fair market value. So thank you again, Drew, for the incredible R5-D4 in my collection. Super happy to have that one. Mine ended up getting a CAS 80+. And that's probably about what this one would get. Maybe it gets an 85, but I think it's probably an 80+ would be my guess on this one. But congrats on that. 36 bids, $13.25 for the final sales price. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave me a like, as it does help out with the YouTube algorithms. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.